I have previously done a bit of a rant on education, my views on it, and to be honest, it's probably quite polarizing for people. I reckon my take on it might be something that you wouldn't perhaps expect for someone that's, I've authored books and the things I've accomplished. But the reality is, I've accomplished much of what I've done in spite of education, in spite of school. That's not to say I don't believe in school at all. I just think personally that we put too much pressure on children, on kids. I think they have to grow up too fast. I think there's just too much expectation on them. I think there's far too much to absorb. I think a lot of what we do at school is so unnecessary. Of course, different times, different ages, So, for instance, what my daughter experiences at school isn't necessarily going to be the same what I experience. But I still see an awful lot of pressure that I actually personally deem unnecessary. I have no expectation of her, like I think way other people pressure their children. But I do find it remarkable how much she wants to do well. But again, I just don't agree with the way it all is. I think there's too many subjects. I've even said it to her, like, don't worry so much if you don't get the grade you want. You can always redo something at college, but ultimately, it doesn't even make sense. That's what I've kind of explained to her. Like, when you figure out what it is you actually want to do, you're going to realize that so you had to study so many subjects, and the things you're beating yourself up about are so irrelevant. When you have peer pressure, it puts too much on you. So, like, you could have friends who are just really good aptitude for many subjects, but you might be good at just one. Like, you might be great at one. Like, you just inherently know something, and it's like that's your subject. But that's actually that's more than okay. No one says you've got to be great at everything you put yourself, your aptitude for. It doesn't make sense to me. So, for instance, let's say you've got a real aptitude for like creative things. You like photography. Photography is something you want to do. So you just naturally gravitate towards things like that. So you're good at lighting. You're good at like even just finding the right angles. Even though it's doing all your settings, you have to do the exposure. You've got to do the focus. There's so many things to this that some people just take it for granted. They click a button. I have it so many times where you ask someone to take a photo for you, and they don't even get the horizon right. Like for me, I have to have it so it's it's right. So like for instance, if you was taking a picture of the sea, you really want to have it you want it level. You don't want some sort of weird angled stuff. But some people just pick the camera up and do that, and you go, "What the hell was that? It's a mess." So it is there is layers to this. The point with that is, let's say you're going to be a professional photographer and you'll be one of the best. People look at your images and go, I didn't realize the levels you could have with this. What is science going to do for you with that? What is English going to do for you? What is geography? You have all these lists of things to learn at school. And for me, most of it is absolutely pointless. It's actually rubbish. Again, it depends on what someone's aptitude is and what they want to do with their life. My biggest gripe is the fact that, let's say you want to go to college and you do want to study something. Let's say you're going to say, I'm going to go and do photography. And let's say to do the class you want to do, you're expected to attain 4 GCSEs. Like, I don't know what it is in America and things, but over in the UK, I don't think it's GCSEs anymore. I don't even know what they call it. But I'm only saying what I know. My daughter's given me a completely different grading, and I don't even understand what she's talking about. So, like, we used to have it in letters. A to C was really the good quality, passes. Beyond that, you got D and E's and all that. But they're still a pass, but they're just not really what the colleges and things are looking for. Now it's all graded in numbers, so it's completely thrown me off. I don't know if high is good, low is good. It's just stupid changing things. But ultimately, in college, you want to get 4C and above. 4Cs and above for something that's so irrelevant, It doesn't even, I don't think it even matters which ones you get it in. So so what does that mean? You've got to hopefully you do well in English, hopefully you do well in maths, hopefully you get a good grade in science. And then what, you're just trying to find something else on top. Maybe you've got physical education like PE, or you've got geography, or you've got drama, IT. I mean, what are they looking for? Also, you can go and study photography. It's just stupid. For me, it's absolutely stupid. I understand you want to get like people on as a baseline should have diverse knowledge. I get it. You've done that. You've done that in junior school and primary school. I don't know what you call it in America, maybe elementary school. So many different variations here. But I just think once you get to high school and things, it's like there shouldn't be pressure on being able to be great at everything. And I think the homework is just so much. Let people be people. You, I know it's a bit ranty, but I've always had a problem with it, even in childhood. I'm not someone who conforms very well to things at all, and I never did then. I've spoke quite openly about like my education as a child. Yeah, I could have done incredible. Like, there's no doubt about it. I had some really intelligent people. Like when I talk about intelligent, when you meet some people and they just like they've just got aptitude. You give them science, they ace it. You give them maths, they fly through it. They're just naturally intelligent, high IQ with those things. And I used to be good at I'm someone who can get on well with different groups. Like I genuinely like being around certain different people. I find it interesting. And the ones that were incredibly smart, like intelligent, they always said that if you just focus, you have so much potential, but you just don't focus. I said, I don't want to focus. But again, I'm only showing my side here. I started high school in the lowest set, and it weren't because I deserved to be there. I don't even understand why they put me there. In UK, you have, I don't even know what you call it, but you just have a normal high school. This is what you have. And then you have grammar schools. So these are the schools that are you could call it posh, but these are for the smart kids, the ones that are higher IQ, if you like. So you have a test at the end of primary school, and before you reach high school, so then it'll determine what schools you can go to. So you'll either go to one of the higher rated schools that are really, really strong education, or you go to a normal school. Most people obviously go to the normal ones. But my understanding and what I'm knowledge of is I didn't miss out by far to go to one of the posher schools, the grammar schools. I didn't miss out by far for that. So how the hell I ended up in the bottom set of classes in the new school makes no sense to me at all. But anyway, by the time I finished high school, bear in mind I didn't even focus. I was like the sort of kid that just kept getting kicked out of class because I'm talking and laughing. I'm immature. I've discussed that in certain aspects of my books. I was immature back then. I didn't take it serious. I didn't have respect for it, to be totally honest. But by the time I finished high school, I was top set of everything, and I wasn't even trying. But I didn't even do homework, So I'm not here to sort of like boast in it. I'm not boasting. I'm just showing my disdain really for education in general in the way that it is given. So it might seem quite bizarre to people that I got a D grade. So we've already established A to C is what those colleges want. I got a D in English. And yeah, I've done 6 books. I'm about to release a 7th either later this year, like in December, or it'll be in January. I've done 7 books, and yet the education system awarded me a D for English. So what do you? I'm not saying I deserve more back then, because again, I wasn't applying myself. But the real point is, what metric do you think? I think it judges you. Like in terms of what metric could really, really be the barometer of your aptitude? Is it going to be tests and classroom, or is it going to be real world? That's the thing, isn't it? So you could turn around and say, well, obviously you're no good because you've got a D in English. That's the standard you set. A testing board is going to determine your potential and future and your skills and abilities, rather than the actual work you've done. That's crazy to me. I would suggest if you've done 6 books, perhaps going on to 7. Obviously people have to read and determine whether they think they're good. I think they're quite remarkable myself. And I would argue that is far more significant than a grading by someone else. Anyway, I'm just putting in perspective there. That's just one aptitude of it. So a part of it really is to show people as well is, don't worry about how others perceive you and the results you get and where you are at a certain point of life. You can always turn that around. Most of the skills I've gained over time have been really just self-made. I've learned on the spot with things. Maybe look, there are avenues you can go. You can go on Google. You can use YouTube. It can help enhance skills. A lot of my skills, though, have actually come from just learning on the spot. I'm going to show something here. Now, people can do it nowadays, but there was a period where people couldn't, and I was doing it. I've done it many times. I'm going to show different things here. You've already seen. I've got six books. I'm trying to count because I'm losing track of how many books I've got now. So you've got 6 books, and I think that's quite remarkable myself. Again, school didn't help me with that. College didn't help me with that. College, I just went off and did a year for IT, computers. But back then it was so basic. all we was really doing was word processing, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint. This was also the most basic stuff you could do. There might have been an admin side of it, you know, where you're dealing with a control panel and just, I can't even remember now, but it wasn't really technical back then. I'm sure computer science now and things like that is far more in depth. It wasn't in depth when I did it. It was boring, but I still enjoyed it because I have an aptitude for computers. So I didn't learn anything there. I learned it all through me, you know, because if I want to know something, I'll figure it out. So what I want to show here, and I'm not boasting because other people can do it, but what I really want to show people is some of us are just naturally, I think, good at multiple things. Some people will try and tell you you can't achieve this, or you're not going to be good. You wouldn't be any good at that. You wouldn't. It's like, don't tell me I'm not good at anything. I know I can do anything. I just have to have an interest in it. I can learn pretty much anything. You know, I'm a fast learner, but I have to want to learn. So I have to speak about it quite often. If you was to tell me, right, we're going to go and learn about flowers, plants and flowers. Is it botany? I'm not interested in that shit. If I wanted to learn it, I'll be able to know all of it, but I don't want to. And so if you tried to teach me that, it would just fall over. It would just go straight over my head because I'm not even listening. So that's the thing. If you have to have an aptitude for something, I think, to take it on board and actually want to learn it. So anyway, I'd always find it quite curious when people try to box me in and tell me you can't do this, you can't do that. It's like, mate, I can do anything I want. It's just I have to want to do it. That's the thing. So let's look at the things I've done. Again, I'm not doing this to boast. I'm really just trying to show people that your potential's limitless, isn't it? So I've done 6 books. We're going to have 7 soon. Yeah. I built this computer recently. I've been building computers my whole life. I was the geek in the 90s. I believe this. I was the geek in the 90s that was just obsessed with computers. Like, my mind was just always like focused on other people, like focused on girls and shit. I'm focused on the computers. I'm a geek, man. I like all this stuff. I'm to put it into context, back when I was younger in high school, my dad, he had a good job. And one day for Christmas, he bought a computer. Back then, I think it was about £1,000. That's a lot of money back then in the 90s. And it's like, we had a big family. So there's like 7 kids. Now, 2 of my sisters have moved out. So there weren't I think there's about 4 or 5 of us left. And it was for all of us. That was a computer for the family, you know. And I was like, oh, this is cool, man. This is so cool. And so they'd go shopping. They'd go out shopping on a weekend, on a Saturday or something, and we'd be home on our own. There's enough of us, you know, look after each other. So you're not really worried about anything happening. So they'd go out, and I would literally, back then it was them big, heavy monitor screens, you know, you put it on top of the tower. The tower was flat, so it's horizontal. I would take the monitor off of the computer, the tower, and I would unscrew it. I'd unscrew the tower, and I'd look at all the parts inside, and I'd be like, oh, what's that thing do? What's that thing do? I wonder what that is. Okay. I was just looking at it all the time. I was just so curious. I was like, this is mad. This is mental to me. How this all works. It's like, I need to understand this. And I was learning, you know. And then, obviously, I put it back together. And I would go into the registry files, like the Windows files on your hard drive, you know, on the computer. You go in there and I would delete things. and the computer would malfunction. And that's how I was learning. And I was like, okay, don't touch that. Don't go into that folder. That's not good. And that was back like Windows 95, 98. You know, this is like old. And so I was at every beginning stage of everything. You know, the birth of the internet. I was there hiding I used to have to put pillows over the computer so it don't do that noise. It'd do that big squealing noisy when you're connecting to the modem and it's really slow. And I'm like, and I'm there, man. Web design come out, like people doing websites. I did my websites, you know. I'm just trying to show, like, if I've got an aptitude for something, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to learn to do it, and I'll do it. Nowadays, a lot of people do computers. They build the computers. But I'm just saying, I've been doing it for years. And I've even had some monstrosities where I haven't had a lot of money at times, and I wanted to build something. At one point, I had 2 computers next to each other. One had a tower that had a power supply in it, and I was literally got the cables from that power supply in that computer, and it was powering this other one, and it was just an absolute nightmare because I needed certain cables, and I can't remember I don't even remember why I did it, but it worked, and I was like, this works. This is working. It's magic. So anyway, I'm just showing that's my aptitude. You'll see me probably get excited about certain things because it's genuinely something I'm interested in. Like, I've been interested in this since I was a kid. I used to at school. I'm not saying I'm that much of a geek. It isn't that bad. It's just there's a few of us that really into computers. There's some like the game consoles. I kind of liked all of it, but I was more really focused on the PCs just because it was so difficult and challenging. You know, it was different. I just recognised the opportunities were limitless with it. So I would have the magazines. I'd take the magazines to school, and I'm looking at the parts I want to buy one day, and it was like, this is so expensive. But one day I really want a computer, and then they reached a point where I can't remember if it was like saving. I was saving money somehow, and I don't know if it was when I was working or not. But as soon as I could buy one, I was like, I'm building this. I don't even think I pre-built any computer, but I like bought a computer made. I'm pretty sure I built it. Yeah, I'll do the research on the parts I need. Anyway, I know that's good digressing, but I did that myself. I've done my books myself, and then let's go through some of the other things I've done over time. You know, so what I would just want to show people is you can literally accomplish anything, you know. So we've already got an aptitude for writing. I've got an aptitude for computers. There are other things that I'm probably not going to be able to remember, but I'm just showing. This is my website. I built it myself. Now, WordPress become fashionable. It's just streamlines things. It's easier. Yeah, okay. I avoided WordPress for years, I was learning web design myself, so I was learning. I'm probably forgetting the names now because I'm freaking haven't done it in years. But if you gave me the sources and stuff, I'd be able to do it. For instance, you can go on. I'm not going to go on here, but you can go and you can collect you can use the developer tools, and I'd know what I'm looking for because I've actually sat there and done the coding myself. So I think I don't know if it is HTTP. I'm not sure. I know obviously that's what you say when you type in your web design website because I haven't done it in ages. But you'd have your two separate codes. One code would design the website, so it'd be all the infrastructure behind it all, and then you'd have CSS. I think it's CSS. Again, I haven't done it so long, and that would do more the aesthetics, so do the coloring and all that sort of stuff. So one aspect would be the foundation of the website. The other side is more the aesthetics, how it actually is. It looks, so you can do changes to all of that. So yeah, so I'll still do some level of coding with WordPress, but it's made me lazier. But I'm saying I was there creating basic websites that, at the time were good. And then they just got they got better and better. And then obviously WordPress just streamlined it. So now really what I do is customize templates. It's just simple. But even Drupal I was using. And there was like big companies that want people who can do Drupal because Drupal was really hard. And I learned it and I could do it. I wasn't like the pro at it, but I was good. I understood it. And that was far more technical than WordPress. So anyway, so I can literally I can create my websites. I use I have a hosting package, but it's not a basic hosting package. So you can have different hosting packages to host your websites. And mine isn't the most basic one. So I have a lot of options in mine. I pay a little bit extra and it's a bit more open. So I can have multiple websites rather than just one. I have a lot of information. I can run my own emails off of it. So I can make unlimited emails off of my websites. So where it's got like StephenBradleyWaters.com, I can have anything at the beginning of that. Music at StephenBradleyWaters.com. I can have whatever name I want. Author at StephenBradleyWaters.com. I can even have Steve at Stephen Bradley. I can literally cut any abbreviation I want, and then I can forward those emails from the where it's been stored on the server. I can forward it to an email address that I use every day, so I don't miss an email. So, there's so many things you can do. You just redirect things. If I'm having issues with my website, I can log in and check all the error logs. If I feel there's something mischievous happening, some security issues, I can go and check that out. I can update the templates for WordPress if there's plugins. Also, there's so much you can do. So again, I'm not just someone who just made something just simple. I have access beyond that. And again, I was someone who was always curious. It was like, wait a minute, you can put yourself on the internet. Well, I want to be able to look into this. I need to be able to do that. I've had so many websites over the years. I've had gaming ones. I took it down. I thought it was quite good at one point, but I just didn't have the energy to keep investing in it. This one's a bit more static. I don't update it very often. Don't need to. But again, the education, where? I didn't study web design at college. I didn't study web design. Didn't even exist at school. I haven't studied web design anywhere. No one's taught me this. No one's taught me how to write a book. No one's taught me to build computers. So I've done it. So where's the education help me? Like, I'm not saying education's bad. But where's that done anything for me in those senses? It hasn't. So anyway, here's the website. Look, I've got to give it to some videos. I've spoken about it before. It's really just for me to just showcase what I'm doing, really. But I've got to work on it. I've got a few websites down here I have, but I don't know if they're active, the links. No, I've just listed them, I think. You can probably get to them here, actually. Oh, it's not working. Something I'll look into later. But I'm not really active with the websites anyway, the other websites. Something else I want to briefly show, because I don't want it just be like, oh, look, he does books, he can build computers, he can do web design. I can also do the hands-on stuff, you know. This is me on a forklift. I can operate so many different forklifts. I've got a bendy, which I think, what's the other name? Flexi. So bendy Flexi is a really awkward one. I can drive that, operate that, should we say. I can do a counterbalance, which is your normal traditional one you use in the yard to unload lorries and containers and just move things about. And then I can do the reach truck, which is the one internal. It's a bit more close space, and you can have really high racking. So I can do that. I do side loader, so you maybe got doors and window frames, and you've got to try and get something so large in a confined space. You've got to be able to turn it and put it on a trailer and things. I can do that. Diesel, electric, gas. So I've done a lot, you know, and there's also other sorts of machinery as well. So this is me on. I'll just showcase it for a minute. Again, okay, I've learned that. You have to get trained for that. You can't just jump on one. But again, I passed the tests for that. Now, this isn't me following best practices, because effectively in this job here, I was one of the fastest. Actually, I think I probably was the fastest. I never had accidents. Some people had accidents. Yeah, I was really good at what I did. So where I'm showing that maybe some of the things I shouldn't do, I could do it even faster. So but I knew what I was doing. You know, wasn't dangerous around other people. I never took an unnecessary risk that wasn't really practical. So they say don't turn in the air, but sometimes the products weren't heavy, and I understood what I was doing. I wasn't doing it fast, like sharp turns. So sometimes I'd lift the forks well in advance, and I'd be turning while I'm doing it, because I had all the timings down, you know. So I could reach the top. Effectively, my forks could be all the way to the top before I've even finished the turn to be lined up with the truck thing. And I'll pick it up and come back out. You're not supposed to. You'd be told off for it, but he was doing a test. But it's just the way I streamlined everything, you know. But I didn't always do that. It's not about being reckless all the time, you know. But my point really with some of this is, first of all, it is how much education do you need? The other side is, don't let anyone tell you can't do something. I can do anything I want to do to be done. Of course, I drive a car as well, you know. I can drive cars. It's just, I know that's something so basic, but some people would try and tell you that's impossible, you know. Like, I don't know. I haven't really found much I can't learn, personally. But I have to want to learn it, and I don't see the point of learning every single thing on the planet. It's like, what's the point? Anyway, I think you can see there that I've done forklift. So anyway, that's one side of me. So we've got the forklifts, we've got all the other stuff, blah, blah, blah. By extension, we've got audiobooks. You know, so I've had to sit there with the camera, with the microphone, I mean, like I do here now. And we can do a preview. I don't know. I haven't listened to it in ages, so I don't know.
This is Audible.
Losing Your Mind to Find Your Soul, A Spiritual Awakening and Journey to Enlightenment. 2nd edition, written and performed by Stephen Bradley Waters. That's me. Author's note. I initially wrote Losing Your Mind to Find Your Soul as a collaborative project. However, due to events and circumstances after publication, I decided to release a solo edition with a single narrative rather than switching between 2 different perspectives. I like it. That's another thing. Now, we've got a podcast. Oh, you can't do a podcast. Why can't I do a podcast? You know, again, people just put you in. I do everything myself, by the way. If you look at me, I'm not working with people. I'm doing it myself. I could easily collaborate with people, but I'm very self-made. I don't need someone to tell me. I don't need someone to show me anything. I can do it myself. You know, it's a harder path, of course, because I don't like self-promotions. That's my biggest obstacle is advertising and promotion because I don't like doing it. So you won't see me pushing myself to somewhere I don't want to go. That's probably my crux. But overall, if you talk about the actual art of doing things, I can do anything. Within reason, of course. But yeah, look, these are all the episodes for the podcast. There isn't going to be any more coming up soon because I'm not doing it anymore. I feel like I've done enough here. But ayo, that's so as a podcast, audiobooks, web design, books, building computers. And then you might have someone think, well, you don't know what it's like to do this. You don't know what it's like to do that, in terms of this. So we've already got that. And then I've got my websites, my gaming. I've got my YouTube. So you might have a YouTuber think, oh, you couldn't do this. Like, do you know when I do the gaming content and stuff? I do it for fun. Here I am now, look. Someone's here and they're in the water. Fun while it lasted, I guess. But the point is, like, you do anything. Yeah, I don't live stream, so you won't see me on those live streams because I'm not interested to that level. I play for maybe an hour, 2 hours at the most, and then I'll stop and do something else, and I might play again later. I don't play consecutively enough to be a live streamer because if you look at me, I've got too much going on. I've got my books to do. I've got other things to do, and you've got to find a break somewhere. But the point is, if I chose to, I could easily be a content creator that just creates video games, for instance. But there's more to me than just that. But there might be people out there who do it and think, well, you wouldn't be able to, you couldn't do this. Mate, I can literally build the computer that does this, and I can literally create the content that does this, and I know all the software, and the same way I create my content now. I've done all this myself. I bought my microphone. I set up the microphone. I bought the camera. I set up the camera. I don't have a team doing any of this shit for me. Do you know what I mean? Like the books, I do this is all done by me. I do the whole process. So yeah, and then obviously we've got this channel here, which there's no point even displaying any of this because I'm literally doing it on camera now. Do you know what I mean? Like I could sit there and go, oh, check this one out. I don't need to show an example. I'm already doing it. And of course, I'm probably missing things here. Like it's easy to forget other aspects. These are just the most obvious things to me. So I've always had an aptitude for things, and I'm quite a quick learner. So I've always had an issue with people telling me you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. It's like, what? Because you want to try and act like what you're doing or this role or this situation. It's so complicated and you're the only one on the planet that can do it. It's like, mate, give me enough time to figure it out, like a week. That's the thing. Even like if I was off, like, I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal here, and I don't want to sidetrack too far. But even sort of like management roles and all sorts of things. Yeah, the first day you walk into something, it might seem strange because I don't know the processes. And you might think, oh, he's never going to get it. Give me a week and I'll be on top. I'll know how the hell, I'll know how it's all running. I'm not someone that needs like freaking 6 months to figure something out. You give me a week and I'll freaking watch and I'll figure it out. And I'll know I know where to streamline. I'll know where to make this better. I'd know where the problems are. I'm an analytical person. I'll just watch and I'm quick like that, My point isn't that I'm great. It's that the education system, I don't think personally is fit for purpose. I don't see how in any of that school helped me. It didn't. I think we need the basics. Look, I'm not against learning things. I think we do need maths. You do, of course you do. We need English to a basic level. At least people need to be able to communicate. I think science, just to understand the fundamentals, for sure. It's interesting if you don't go too deep with it. Geography, of course, understanding the planet and history. I think it's important we're not ignorant of the past. I think there's things to learn, but I think when you get to high school and there's just a ridiculous amount of pressure on you, I think you then should be able to streamline what activities you're interested in. And I don't think when you go to college, it should be an expectation you have multiple high grades. It should just be grades that pertain to the course you're doing. So like, I don't know what courses they do at school anymore. Like for instance, there was I can only say what I did. there was core subjects, and then there was, I think when you got to year 9, so you got halfway through high school, you then got to pick the bonus ones. So you didn't have to continue doing lessons that did interest you all the time. I think you still had a lesson here and there, but it wasn't really something you were going to be tested on. I don't even know if you did have the lessons anymore. I think I did though, but I can't remember too much. But I missed out on things I wanted to do just because there wasn't enough interest in it. And that's not fair. I wanted to do astronomy. I wanted to explore space. I wanted to do that. Instead, I had to do, I think it was geography or something, because nobody wanted to do astronomy. And it's like, that's not fair. No, I wanted to do astronomy. I think the core subjects I did that was spare extras was PE, physical education. Everybody had to do it, but I got to do extra lessons of it because I wanted to do it. But that means you had to learn the anatomy and all those things. And then I think it was geography and IT because I like computers. I think that's what I chose. Obviously, the other options were things like music, drama, I don't know, art. I don't know what else. But it was very basic. Now they have media studies, so you probably learn to be on camera and you learn to maybe create a script and things like that. I don't create scripts for the work I do on the camera. I just have a topic and I just go mental, to be totally honest. I'm more off the cusp. But then because I do my books, I'm more than capable of writing something if I want to. I just don't see the point if I'm talking on. I'd rather not be a robot, If I'm going to talk on a subject, I'd rather just be natural. I prefer that to flow freely rather than script it and sort of like read off a sheet and got a teleprompter shit going on. Yeah, I get it if you've got a time limit. If you've got like 30 minutes and you have to make sure you're on point, I get that. But don't appeal to me. But again, there's people getting educated on it now, so I guess they can. I think it swings and roundabouts though. I think you could be educated on something like that, but then it's kind of, are you getting pushed down a path that isn't the way you would want to be? Do you know what I mean? Like, because education, I think, sometimes pushes us to be something we're not. So you might not express yourself naturally, because it's a bit like if you used to follow influencers on social media and that was your teacher, for instance. Let's say you learn off the influencers and you started to mirror them. It's like their mannerisms, the way you present. It's like all of a sudden you might not be how you would naturally want to do it, but you've been hardwired to be a certain way. That's kind of my problem with that. I think it's good. I would be really interested to see how those lessons work. But I would be a bit worried that everybody's going to come away like robots. They're all going to be like copies of each other, like clones. So then when they create content online or whatever they're doing, videos, maybe they're all the same as each other. And it's like, that's not really good. You'd want everyone to be individuals. That's kind of your charisma shines through, I think, personally. But anyway, like I say, overall, I don't put pressure on my daughter to study. It's just, what would you want to do when you finish school? And then maybe think about the studies you want to do for that, I think she wants to go college and things for the experience, at least. I think personally, I think she's just curious. I don't know if she knows exactly what she really wants to do. But she gets zero pressure from me. All I ever say to her is just do yourself proud. Just try your best you can, Don't beat yourself up, because I said to her, that's what I say to her. Is like, the problem is if your standards are that high that it's really unrealistic, just because perhaps your friends set those standards and things. I said, your problem is you might freeze. So like maybe it's time to do your test. You got so much pressure on your mind rather than relaxed. And then you just feel like you've got to be so perfect as soon as you come across a question you can't answer. You're beating yourself up and you just can't even concentrate for the next 5-10 minutes. All of a sudden it's like, it's just getting overwhelming. If you just go into a situation, you've prepared where you can, you allow yourself room to breathe, and you accept that you're probably not going to get every question right. The odds of getting 100% on any test is very low. I don't think it's going to happen for many people, which means you're going to get some questions wrong then. So then I think if you go in that attitude of, I'm just going to answer to the best of my ability and I'll do what I can. And that's literally how I approached things, if I couldn't do a question and it was holding me up, I would just avoid it and I'll just move on. When I get to the end of the exam, I can go back. Obviously, you don't just sit there twiddling your thumbs, you go and read over your questions. If there's questions missed, now I've got time to address it. But I recognise I'm probably going to get this wrong because I haven't got a clue to begin with, and then you see what your results are. But I can't say I overly struggled with exams. I don't feel the pressure that everybody else, I don't think, because I'm always just of the notion the grade I get is really my level. So if I don't know it, I don't know it. If I get a C, that's my standard. I'm okay with that. I think there's too many of these people that just want to be perfect, and I think that's dangerous. That's dangerous because you just literally put so much pressure on yourself. You don't. Your worth is attached to a grade. No, no, I've never cared that I got a D in English. I've always known I was better than that. But I got a D in English because I didn't do the bligging studies, you know. Half of it was exams, half of it was essays. I wasn't even paying attention in class. So then when it was like, do your homework, I was getting in trouble for not doing the homework. So then what did I do? The bare minimum. So they couldn't say you didn't do the homework. It was just crap. So then the trouble is, by the time I got to the exam, I didn't stand a chance. That was my fault. But it doesn't tell me I'm not good enough. It's just I wasn't mature enough at the time. Wasn't ready to handle the pressure that come with it. So what? Does it matter now? Do you see what I mean? Like, to me, I don't give a shit. It could be, I'll always not care. It's a grade. What does that do for the rest of your life? You can sit there and go, oh, I've got this A grade at school. Who gives a shit? Like, overall, who cares? It's irrelevant. It doesn't even matter. What does that hold up in life in general in the future? You know, I would, as I always say, like, it's like I went to, was it 2022? I'd passed a course at university back in 2012, I think. Might be 2012, 2010, 2012. I can't remember. I think it's 2012. And I was doing computer science because I really want to do well because my daughter was born 2010. And I just started looking at my life thinking, I want to achieve something. Yeah. I want to not just make her proud, but I want to achieve something. And one of my life goals was literally to do university in parts. That was just a goal. I don't even know why I set it. It was just, I think that's just because that's society standards. So I wanted to achieve something remarkable. That was what it was, really. So there's literally different points. It was a 60-point class study. And to get a degree, I think it was like you had to get 360 points. So 60 points for that. We still got 300 points in other classes so that would take a few years. And I passed it. And that was computer programming. It was challenging, that was. But I passed the course. So that was my 60 points. And then the preceding courses were networking, which was boring as shit. So it was binary. I don't know if people know that crap, but you got a massive book and it was boring as hell. Like you just wanted to smack yourself in the head with that book and it was massive. And the other studies was high level mathematics. Which one's which one is more boring than the other? I mean, come on. I didn't bother I just gave up. I just didn't bother. I'd lost interest. I thought this is just shit. Plus, I don't even know if I really care about getting a degree anymore. I passed the course. I'm proud. In the end, I just said, you know what? This isn't about people can see things as failures. For me, it was just an adjustment of my expectations and goals. I didn't want to get a degree anymore. I was like, I'm not suffering like this to get that. I don't care. I can't be doing this shit. That's mind numbing, you know. So the first course wasn't the most fun anyway, and I just realised as much as I love computers, I don't want to work on them at that level. It's just that's too boring to me. I like to just do my own thing with it, you know. And that's when I was learning web design on the side, and I started to realise I'm a bit more creative. I think that's what it is. I like creativity, and web design allowed me that outlet. And then I was doing through the websites, I was writing like reviews and things for the video games and stuff. So I was writing articles and blogs. This was my own thing, not for someone else. So I had an aptitude for writing even then, and I'm doing creative things with the computers and things. And I think that eventually, I think that's what's evolved into me writing my books and things. It was like because I was doing it and I liked what I was writing. And then I decided to share more of my journey and talk about, I think, serious topics where I realised that other people don't have role models. Some people are self-defeating. Some people don't have the strength really to get through some things in life. And it's not, I don't think through fault of their own. I just think, you know, sometimes you haven't had the best mentors and stuff, you know. And I realise I've got this, you could put it arrogance. It's just, I'm confident and I don't really let things shake me. And I just always follow true north, if you like. And I realise some people I think could do with, it wasn't about me trying to educate people. I wasn't writing my books to try to tell people be this, be that. It started off, first of all, journaling a big trauma I went through. But when it comes to the personal growth, all I was doing was sharing my thought process. I wanted people to understand why I'm resilient, why I'm strong, and why I don't let things get to me and I just push on. That's all it was. That's how it started. It was just that. I just wanted people to see that side of someone. and realize, and then see it, hopefully see for themselves that you can compare that to how you're being told by others to behave, but maybe start being you in the same way I am me. That's what it is. So then it's just evolved, really. I've just seen other issues in society, and then other things that I think I could talk about, and then literally that's how it's like evolved. But it really just started with me just wanting to share how I am, who I am. And then ultimately, it always leads on to something else. So I talk about this a lot as well. I know we're digressing, but I always talk about the fact that don't be scared for like one door to close and another to begin. Don't hold so tight to an idea of a version of yourself. As we've already seen, I keep adapting, I evolve. I did, I'm like working on I'm studying for the university thing. I've done a college course on computers, and I've adapted and moved on to other things. I was doing my gaming website. I put a few years into my gaming website. For me, I thought that was what was going to be the thing that I'm going to be known for. Gaming content creator. I thought that was what it is, So when you put everything into that, it's hard to let it go, because you think, if I let that go, I'm nothing. But in the end, it was like, I'm bored. I think I'm finished with this chapter of my life now. And so I stopped. Just stopped, and I actually closed it, deleted the website. I can't remember. And that was I put years into that website. I just deleted it. No, not doing it anymore. And for me, I'm happy to let things go. Like, there could be a day when I just stop writing books. I've got many in mind, so I don't know if I ever will. But if I ever did, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't delete the existing books. It's not the case like that in that level. But I'm more than comfortable to just never write another book if I don't have anything to say or I don't want to do it. I'd be like, okay, that chapter's finished. I've done that. Let's see what else I want to do now. It's not always going to be magnificent things. It might be just like, just want to enjoy myself, or I just want to take a time out to explore this, or I want to tinker with that, or I want to learn about this. I've got mythology books and things I've got, and I genuinely want to just bury my head in these books. But at the moment in my life, my mind's on all these other things. But I do love the idea that one day I can just have that time to myself to just not create, and just take a period of time just to really delve into all that. And that's something I'm going to learn about. History as well, with the ancient Egypt and all those sort of things. Those are things that genuinely interest me, but I haven't had a chance to really delve deep into it. And it's something that I do want to spend a portion of my life doing. So there's always something for me. I'm never like truly bored. But again, I think sometimes we can learn on our own pace, in our own unique way. So when I say I learn about it, I have no interest in going to college, university to be taught those things. I'll learn it my own way. So I've already touched on the fact that I did university for that computer course. Fast forward 10 years or so, 10 plus years. And 2022, I think it's 2022. I applied to study an English degree. I'd just done most of my books. I think I just finished Heal Your Mind to Free Your Soul. So I had 4 books. And I thought, to be honest, I've shown an aptitude for writing. I've showed a consistency and a determination. But I wasn't allowed to study anymore because I didn't follow up with the previous studies. They banned me from studies. It's just something they do for your own protection. They don't want you to get in a rabbit hole if you can't handle it. It's a financial issue as well, because you're having to get student loans. So you can literally get yourself in a mess. So I found out it was for your own protection. It wasn't that they were trying to punish me. It was that they didn't want me to get in debt. So I had to put in an appeal. I had to explain why I want to study and how it's different this time. And the student advisor, they reached out to me. They wanted to talk to me on the phone and things. And he literally, I'm not saying this. He said this is one of the best ones they've ever received. And I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. And we had a deep conversation. It was really interesting because I have opinions on things, and I consider myself intelligent, but I don't have a lot of people to bounce ideas off. A lot of people without being rude, most of the people that I would communicate with are not as intelligent as me. They don't see things how I see it. I like to be around intelligent people. I like to have people I can have a deep conversation with, and it's just, I don't have that a lot in my life, So to have someone who is educated and is smart and talk to them, that was nice because we was discussing a route. Because I was thinking just the English language, literature, just do that. It'd probably be Shakespeare and all those sort of things. By talking to me, he said to me, I can't remember what he said. What was the phrase? Philosophy. Yeah. He said to me, he said, based on what you're saying and the opinions you have on things, he said, I think you would be best suited to follow a philosophy path where you can where you challenge existing thought processes, and but there is a level of English within that. So it's just a different route within the English degree, or something like that. Okay, it was something around that bar, and I thought that is exactly what I'm doing. That is exactly what I need, and it was through him that the philosophy thing, like yeah. So I thought, yeah, that's definitely what I'm set for. So the course I didn't finish it because I was working. To put it into context, I applied for the role when I was out of work. So I wrote my book. I'd left a job to write the book. I then applied to study at the university, and that was going to be my main focus. But of course, find a job on the side. Then I got a job, and it was my highest paying job I'd had. It required a lot of my time. There was an immense amount of overtime because it was a brand new business venture they'd done. They'd expanded, but it was like this new facility, and everybody was expected to put in the hours, and you get a lot of money, and I was doing it, and I was like burning myself out at different ends here. I'm trying to write my next book. I'm doing a study that's a serious study, and I'm doing a job that is literally paying me the bills. When you look at the jobs you can get when you get the degree, it wouldn't have paid any more than I was already earning. So you're going to, what am I doing it for? Perhaps there'll be a job at the end of it that you can do that you can't do now, but I doubt it. You'll have a degree at the end. Well, that's nice, but whoop-de-doo. To a degree, I'm not putting things down, but at my age, it's like I don't really need applause, So I was literally doing the studies in the back of my car, like lunch break. I'm sitting in the back of my car with my lunch, and I've got my book, and I'm writing, and I'm trying to do it at home as well when I've got the spare time. And it was exhausting, but it was just the fact that the pacing was stupid. I actually enjoyed the study, but I didn't. When I realised what we was doing it for, it seemed a waste of a year. So I'm studying Cleopatra. I've established I love ancient Egypt, and I want to learn about all this. And I was learning it in that study, but that was for a week. Then they went on to Queen Elizabeth. Then it's gone on to the Virgin Mary, and then it was going to go on to Beethoven and Mozart and also it was crazy. Picasso, I think. It was just different people every week. And then it was going to go on different areas later, like in the histories and the arts and stuff. And I thought, this is not what that ain't what I want. I like studying these people, but it's going too fast, and I don't want to study the others because they're boring. And it was like, that wasn't really what I wanted. So I started looking at what the actual course is for. Because I was getting graded as I go, They were like, oh, this is good, but this needs to be worked on or something. And I just thought, wait a minute, the thing you're picking up on is not the thing I think you're picking up on. I was more interested in analysing what the material was, and then put it into context. So I read the material and I say, this is what this situation is. I think I'm interpreting it. That's not what they wanted. So in that sense, I was doing well. What they wanted was you literally to be able to recite and quote material. And I realised that later. I was like, well, okay, I'm learning that. So I'm learning something, which is good. But that's literally the whole point of this year. It's just to learn to recite and quote. That's a waste of my time. It's boring as shit. And I've got freaking other stuff to do. I haven't got the time for this. So if you're asking me, would I rather have, because this is where I had to decide in the end, something's got to give. I either have to stop with the book, and I'll have to dedicate all my time for about 5 years to doing this course, and I'll have to work the job, or if I leave that job, go another one. But ultimately, for about 5 years, it's going to be study. And then you get a degree. Or you can have a book a year, potentially, because that's how I work at. By the time the study's finished, I could have 5 books. So what do you want more, a degree, an English degree, or 5 more books? Well, ultimately, the degree is leading you to be able to create content, isn't it? Either work for someone else or create something yourself. But do I need that certificate? Do I need that to validate anything? I'd already done 4 books. So for me, it was a case of I'm not sacrificing. You only get so much time on this planet. I'd rather create genuinely original content than spend my life waiting to recite something else. You know, and that's what I was doing. That's what I just saw college as. At university, I just looked at it and just thought, all we're doing is mirroring what was already written by others. And it's just constantly mirroring. It's rarely original thought. And that bothered me because I'm a creative, original person. I like to be original. So when I feel boxed in, I get frustrated as shit. I don't like it. So I just looked and thought, this isn't going to fit with me at all. Like at that point, I just thought, well, yeah, I'm done now. I'm not going to study again like that again. I've given it different angles. You know, it's a societal norm, isn't it? It's something that everybody expects of you. But you know, at the end of the day, I've passed the university course. I consider what I've done bigger than university. To be totally honest, I don't care. Ultimately, because I've seen people. There was someone I was working at the job. They'd done a journalism degree, so he passed and got a journalism degree. He's working alongside me in a warehouse. I'm on a forklift. I can do all them. He hasn't even done them before, so he's just walking around, and it's such a waste. I said to him, I said, why are you not looking for journalist jobs though? Like if you've got that, or just do. He said he applied before and he didn't get anywhere. I thought, well, why aren't you still applying though? Why would you just give up? If you put so much time towards something, why would you just give up? But some people don't have that in them to keep pushing forward. But it also showed that perhaps a lot of people are getting degrees that are no use. So I said to him, why did you finish? And I think he just said, he weren't interested in finishing. He got fed up halfway through study. He did say that to me. He finished because his friends were still doing it or something like that. So he just finished it with them or something. I can't remember. It was something stupid, you know, and it's just a waste of life. Like you can say he's done it, but it's just a waste if you're not doing what if you've studied something and you're not putting it practical use. What's the point? You know, it does open doors. What I would say is it does open doors. So I'm not saying that education's terrible. Like, for instance, one of the things I was looking to do in my mid-20s, I was thinking about doing it. I started thinking about like where I'm going in life. What could I do? What do I want to do with my life? And I always had like perhaps a teacher. I thought I could do that. I know I could be a teacher, and I think I'd be good at it. But I wouldn't want to do high school because the kids would do my head in. To be honest, I can't bother with that. If people are not going to listen and they just want to be argumentative just because they think they're being funny, that would just drive me nuts. I just think like I'm not, because I don't like wasting my time with people who don't want to bother. Now again, I was immature when I was younger, so I know what I'm doing. I know what we'd be looking at, like mirrors of the young version of me. That would drive me nuts. In junior school, like primary school, I think that'd be more interesting because kids want to learn. They would have a silly side to them. There'd be a very immature nature to some of them, but I think you can understand that a lot more, and I think it'd be fun to try to just develop young minds. I would have enjoyed that. And from my understanding, I don't think it even matters what degree you get. As long as you get one, you can actually go and do that. You can become a teacher. And I could have, in another life, I think I could have just been a teacher. I think I've done well at that. So that's if I was to rewind time, that was something I could have done. But I'm not saying I regret it, because again, I've done my books. It's a different variation of teaching because it's all about personal growth and development. It's just not in a classroom, and I feel I can reach an awful lot more people doing what I do now than I would doing that. So I'm not saying that being a teacher is not a good thing. But the other side to that, of course, is when you're doing teaching in a classroom, you're stuck with a curriculum that you don't necessarily agree with, but you have to fit to. And now, again, I don't conform very well, so I don't think I would have done in that. I think I would have done well teaching people and helping them improve. I don't think I'd have done well with the education board because I want to protect people. I don't think there's so much. I don't think there's homework as a kid, is there? I can't remember in primary school too much. Probably is nowadays everywhere, isn't it? But I wouldn't want to pass down homework to people because I don't believe in it. I think it's not fair. I think if I can't fit it in a class lesson, then that's enough. You shouldn't do it anymore. You shouldn't have to. You can't just say, "Oh, we've got too much. I've got twice as much stuff to teach you, but I have half the time to teach you it, so you're gonna have to do the rest at home." No, that's no good. Kids are at school long enough. It's too long. I don't agree with homework at all. I don't agree with it at all. I think you're at school long enough. You shouldn't have to come home and do even more study. Where the hell do you get to be a kid? And then you've got so much pressure on you. You can't enjoy your weekend because you've got some heavy homework that's going to probably take you a good few hours that either destroys your Saturday or your Sunday. Nah, it's not right. I really am. I'm absolutely anti-homework. Like my daughter lives with her mum. If she was with me, I will tell her, do what you want. I don't care. Not that I don't care about how well you do in life and things. I just don't care about school in that sense because I think it's shit. So yeah. So I would have, if she was with me, I'd be down to school all the time arguing with them. Being totally honest with you, because I don't agree with the homework. So we'd argue that. I'd be a bit of a mental case, to be honest, because I'm so when something bothers me enough, I will not let it go. So like I've got no problem teaching her myself, by the way. So I'll be more than this is the thing with me. I'm not like an empty threat sort of person. I'll be more than comfortable homeschooling her. If I think it's for a better interest, I would homeschool her. But leave it. I would obviously I'd let her decide for herself to a degree, but yeah, a homework would irritate shit out of me. So if the teachers, for instance, were setting homework and I witnessed her stressed, struggling, and it was causing her mental deficits, like really impacting her at home, then I would obviously stand up for her and say, don't worry about it. Don't worry about doing that. And I would then, if I find out she's got detention, see, I'm a bit unhinged like that. I just don't give a shit. If I find out she's got detention, I would go up to the school and tell her to let her out now. She's not a prisoner. You are not in control of her. I am a parent, and I'm telling you that she's coming home. And don't ever put her in detention again for anything like this. You've got a problem, you call me. And that's how I would be. I would be very, because I'm protective of her anyway, but I don't play about. And if they want to push it, I'd just say, right, I'm going to homeschool her now because you clearly can't freaking control yourselves. You can't even manage to educate them within the hours you've got. And you're teaching her a load of shit she doesn't need to learn anyway. So I've already said about this before about homeschooling her. I would teach her the fundamentals. I'd think, what is it you actually want to learn first of all? What? Let's figure that out a little bit, like where's direction in life, what you want to do. And let's focus on that to make you the best you can be, ready in preparation for it. Still got to learn some basics. But I think they get up too early. I think you can't focus first thing in the morning, to be totally honest. So I'd let her wake up a little bit later, not lazy, get up a little bit later, not too much. Then we'd do maybe 2 hours or so, 2 hours or studying, 2 or 2.5. We would then obviously stop for lunch, have your lunch. We wouldn't finish as late as they do. And if she wants to do anything around anything, I'd be more free with the hours. I don't think it has to be so bloody regimented. You know, you can have a bit more daytime if you want, and then we just do a little bit more, a little bit in the evening. I'm not regimented like that. I think being free spirited's great. I think sometimes it'll be a case of, right, we're going to go and let's go out for the day. Like some people say, you're just pissing about. It's like, I think you learn more in the world anyway. So maybe we'll go, like in the UK, we have like the national, what do you call it? Oh, I can't remember what you call it now. I knew the names because I like it. Heritage. I think it's National Heritage. It's a bit like in America where you've got those other places that are a bit more protected places, So I would take her maybe for a day out, and it's like for a walk through some really nice place, or you go and see a castle, or you go and do I think you just go to the places and experience. And I think that does wonders for your mental health. It makes you want to absorb information. I think there's just different ways to teach people, and I just think staring at a board all the time now, that's unnecessary. So I don't feel personally, I don't feel that I would teach her any less than the classrooms. And I think we'd have more deeper conversations about more serious things than half the rubbish they get taught. Of course, I'll have my limits. I can't teach science. I can't do it. We'd have to find ways. If she had an aptitude for science and wanted to develop that, we'd have to find a way to figure that out. And I would do the best I can because now I'm invested. Like I've said, I can learn things quick, but I have to want to learn. I have no interest in science, but if she is, then I'll do my best to learn what I need to learn to be able to show her it, or find ways to do it. So I'd probably even spend time on YouTube or somewhere like that, or find websites, and I'll just create a massive list of things we can do, and then show her that over time. So I think I'll be pretty good. But I don't want to diminish education and the teachers in the sense that they've dedicated their time to be able to do what they do. But it's not specifically the teachers, it's the bloody education system that's the problem. It's the curriculum they have to follow. So it's not necessarily the teacher wants to be an asshole. It's the fact that the teacher has the curriculum to follow. They've got the head teacher pressuring them that they have to have taught them all of this by the time the term ends. So the teachers have to then apply it. But some teachers are dipshits. Some teachers do like the power complex. And I don't play. I don't play. So I would just keep her off school. If you're gonna put her in detention, and you're gonna let's say to get around me, because let's say I say if you put her in detention, I'm bringing her home. Maybe they give her detention on her break times instead, so she doesn't get to play hang out with her friends, because they know I'm not gonna let her stay longer at school. So maybe they waste her break times. I'm just saying, you do all that shit. I don't play. I'll just take her out and I'll teach her myself. You don't have the right, and then that gives you the freedom to take actually in-term holidays, doesn't it? Because you can actually get a cheaper holiday. So then they have more experiences. I think you can have more experiences of life that way. But I think you have to, if you're going to do it, you take it serious. You don't take your kids out of school to do home education and then just make it lazy. I don't think that's not going to do them any good. I think you still have to have some sort of boundary with it. But like I said, what I've learned in life, I haven't learned from these people. It's just, I just think it creates clones. So yeah, I think we have to have whimsy. If we haven't got whimsy, we haven't got anything. We have to have freedom to develop. I think personally, I don't want to keep going on now because I'll end up getting myself all worked up, and I just want to calm down for a bit.